Married to the poorest mountain man, she found a lost kingdom in the clouds. In 1885, the town of Willow Creek believed hardship built character. For Sarah Winslow, hardship had only built silence. Her father's death left behind unpaid debts, a failing homestead, and a young woman the town no longer knew what to do with. She had no dowry, no family name worth protecting, and no place in a society that measured worth in land and lineage. The town council offered her a choice wrapped in courtesy: marriage, or leave before winter. That was how Sarah found herself standing in a small wooden church, marrying Elijah Cole, the poorest mountain man Willow Creek had ever known. Elijah was a man of rumors. Some said he was feral. Others said cursed. He lived high in the mountains where storms ruled and maps failed. He came into town only twice a year, traded furs for salt and tools, and spoke as little as possible. When Sarah finally met his eyes, she was surprised. They were not wild. They were steady. "I will keep her safe," Elijah said at the altar. Nothing more. Sarah assumed her life was ending. The journey to Elijah's home was brutal. The path climbed relentlessly, cutting through snow-heavy pines and narrow ridges where one misstep meant death. Sarah's hands blistered. Her lungs burned. "This place will kill me," she said bitterly. Elijah paused, his breath barely visible. "It hasn't yet." His cabin was small but sturdy, built into the mountain's curve. Inside, it was warm, orderly, and unexpectedly thoughtful. Shelves lined with books. Neatly stacked firewood. Dried herbs hung with care. That night, Sarah cried quietly, mourning the life she had lost. Elijah did not intrude. Days turned into weeks. Elijah hunted and trapped, returning before nightfall. He cooked when needed. Spoke when necessary. Never touched her without consent. Never treated her as a burden. Sarah began to notice what others had missed. Elijah could read fluently. He knew astronomy well enough to predict storms days in advance. He spoke fragments of old languages Sarah had only seen in history books. "You're not what they said you were," she told him one evening. Elijah smiled faintly. They never asked. As winter broke, Elijah prepared for a longer journey. "You should come," he said. They climbed higher than Sarah believed possible. Above the tree line, the world transformed. The air grew thin. The clouds drifted below them like an ocean. Then the mountain opened. Stone gates, ancient and weathered, stood hidden behind mist. Symbols carved deep into the rock told stories older than Willow Creek itself. Beyond them lay terraces carved into the mountain's spine, gardens warmed by natural springs, stone homes built to withstand centuries, bridges connecting cliffs like threads of quiet defiance. People emerged slowly. They bowed. Sarah turned to Elijah, her heart racing. "What is this place?" He exhaled slowly. "What remains of my home?" Elijah told her the truth. Long before settlers arrived, a hidden community fled war and conquest. They built a kingdom that chose secrecy over power, balance over expansion. They erased themselves from maps. When the world grew greedy, they vanished into legend. Elijah had been born here. But the kingdom was fading. Too few children. Too much isolation. Knowledge slipping away. "We needed someone from the outside," Elijah said softly. "Someone who knew the world, but wasn't ruled by it." Sarah's chest tightened. "That's why you married me." At first, he admitted. "Yes." The honesty stung. "But I stayed," he added, "because you are strong without cruelty. Because you endure without hardening. Because you see people." Sarah looked around at a civilization hidden in the clouds and understood. She hadn't been cast away. She had been chosen. Sarah learned their language, their customs, their history. She taught reading, writing, and medicine. Introduced careful trade routes disguised as ordinary mountain passes. Recorded stories before they vanished. The kingdom began to breathe again. And somewhere between shared work and quiet evenings, love grew, not loud or sudden, but steady and deep. Years later, Willow Creek would whisper of a woman who vanished into the mountains and never returned. They never knew she became part of something older than borders. A kingdom without crowns. Hidden. Enduring. Free.